Am I audible in the back? Good afternoon. Am I audible in the back? Am I audible in the back? Then can you come a little closer? Please come. So please come closer. Even you. So we will not run the attendance sheet in the back benches. So if you really want the attendance for this session, you have to come and sit in the front. The students who sit in the front bench will get 1 bonus marks. So front row. So Sanjana, what we should do is, people who are sitting in the center aisle, they should get 1 bonus mark. Those who are sitting on the side aisles in the front row, front 2 rows, they get 1 bonus mark. Others don't get any bonus mark. Okay? So you want bonus marks? Please come to the front, preferably sit in the center aisle. Otherwise, the next first 2 rows of the second aisles. Come, come, come. Bonus marks. See, that is the currency all of you understand, is it not? That is the currency you play with the other students in. Come, play with your currency. Nahi chahiye bonus marks. That row will not fetch you the bonus marks. Only these 2 rows. Come to think of it, you guys don't want bonus marks? No bonus? This aisle and these front 2 rows will get you the bonus marks. Level up your game. Come, come, come. So you'll get a bonus mark. Don't worry. No bonus for all of you? No bonus marks? As you choose. So, how many of you, before coming to this session, have done the pre-work that was requested to be done? What was the pre-work? You had to watch my video, not just any video. You had to watch my video. You don't pay attention here. What was the pre-work? What video was that? Who will tell? किसने भी नहीं करा? So what do we do? Now, all of you are going to be TAs. What would you do if the work that you have assigned to your class, the students don't do it? What would you do? So we're not carrying the attendance sheet in the last, in the back aisles. So better you sit in the front, okay? Yeah. So what would you do? Have you already experienced such a situation in one of your classes? Anyone who has experienced similar situation? There was an assignment to be given, done, and students have come to the class unprepared. How many of you have experienced this? No one? Oh my God. You are worse off than your students. That's a pity. What do we do? What do we do with you guys now? You expect your students to do the homework before they come to the class? Or you do not expect? You expect. And from what we just checked, your students do the homework. They come prepared to the class. You are not. You are worse off than the students you are going to handle and teach. What do we do? What do we do with you? Any suggestions? No suggestions either? So there is no attendance happening in the last, in the back aisles, okay? And until now, there was this plan that those who sit in the center aisle and the first two rows, they will get a bonus mark. But now the situation has evolved. The situation has evolved in such a way that you have not watched the, or you have not done the pre-work that was expected to be done. And you don't even have a suggestion of what we should do now. So then I should suggest something. Is it okay? Okay. Anyone over here has a suggestion of what to do now? Please raise your hand. Yeah. The question is, we just did a poll in the class. I asked that how many of you have done the pre-work that was expected to be done? So what was the pre-work? Yeah, you have to watch the video on TA training. That video is about 2 hours long. And then the next question was, because majority of the class, like when I asked, literally no one raised the hand that they have watched the video. So the question was, what should we do? Do you have a suggestion? Because you're worse off than your students. Because the second question I asked you was, have you faced the situation in your classes? You said no. It means your students do what they have been told. You, however, have somehow not taken the responsibility of doing what you were told. And you are here. So you're worse off than your students. So the second question that I asked you then was, what do you suggest we do with you? To which, again, I'm asking the third question, any suggestions? Anyone has a suggestion? No one has a suggestion. Perfect. So is it okay if I suggest what we do? And then whatever I suggest, you have to agree to it? Is that okay with you? Then nothing like मेरी class है, मेरे को ये करना है, मेरे को वो करना है. Then whatever I suggest has to be happening. Is that okay? Hello? How many of you have 2 years? Okay. Each one of, how many of you have one hand? Can you raise that hand once? Raise that hand high. Okay, at least you have a hand. Okay, now how many of you have 2 years? Raise your hand high. Those who do not have 2 years can keep their hands down. Those who have 2 years can raise their hand high. Okay, you have 2 years. Okay. How many of you have a brain in between those 2 years? Again, I want your hands to be raised. So there are many people who do not seem to have a brain also. Is it so? Anyone? So those who are not raising their hands high, they are not sure if there is a brain in between. Can I assume that? Again, the same question. I'm repeating the same question. In between your 2 years, how many of you have a brain? Raise your hands high. Okay, so all of you have a brain. So you have 2 years and you have a brain in between them. Okay. And we also just checked you're able to raise your hands. So is it fair to assume that the brain that you have, you will use a little bit of it and do some processing and respond? Is it fair to assume that? Hello? Is it fair to assume that? Will you be willing to respond? Okay. So now, I'm again asking you this one question again. Since you do not have a suggestion of what to do with you guys, are you willing to go with what I suggest? Again, raise your hand. Those of you who are willing. Those who are not willing, please leave this room already. Those of you who are not willing, please leave this room right now. I know you do not even know my suggestion yet. But if you're not willing to put even this kind of an effort, you are ruining the career of my students over here in this institute. I don't want you in this room. And Sanjana, we have to strip them of the TA responsibilities. Please, those of you who are not willing to go by the suggestion, please leave this room now. Okay, so your presence over here by default means that you are willing to do what I tell you now. The first thing I want to tell you is please turn off your laptops. Please close your laptop. Okay. Now the suggestion is that since you have not watched the video, instead of this 1.5 hour session, the session will go to 2.5 hours. There is no other option. What that means is that we'll go through the entire training the way it is meant to be and not as a follow-up session of a training that you've already done. Is that okay? So you will get free at 3 instead of 2. There is no other option. At least I can't think of anything else. Because for me, you over here are going to handle students at IIIT Delhi, help them with their studies, ensure that they learn in their courses better. But if you yourself do not hold yourself to that standard, you're not worthy of being a TA at IIIT Delhi. Again, if any one of you does not agree with this suggestion, you can leave this room now. Tell me one thing. Is this a fair consequence of what you did? Those of you who feel it is unfair, please raise your hand. Okay. So it is settled. All of us understand this is a fair consequence of us not preparing before we came to the class. Therefore, the session is not a 1.5 hour session. This is going to be a 2.5 hour session, of which 15 minutes have already passed. Is that okay? Great. So then we start from the basics. Uh, this is a little bit about me. My name is Anuj. I'm a faculty in the EC department. Before joining IIIT Delhi, I worked with ST Microelectronics for about more than 18 years. My area of research is VLSI, and I'm also involved in other roles at IIIT Delhi. I'm the head for the Center for Intelligent Product Development. I'm also faculty in charge for international affairs. I'm faculty in charge for well-being. I'm faculty in charge for self-growth. And because of my interest in topics beyond VLSI, I also take these courses on creativity, innovation, and inventive problem solving, or even sessions on leadership. Okay. I am available in my office. If you ask for an appointment, I can be available in my office. From my office is in R&D block A610. You can write an email to me and fix an appointment when you need. Okay. Uh, what we are going to cover now in sufficient detail in this session are topics like uh, why do we want to be a TA? What are the standard duties and responsibilities of being a TA? Uh, what to do when you conduct tutorials, labs, how to handle student queries, how to handle conflict situations with the students, with the professor whom you are TAing with, and your peer groups. Okay. And plagiarism. And since we are doing the entire session all over, we will also talk about how to handle use of AI. Is that okay? In addition to these, those of you who are doing TA for the second or third time, based on your experience in the prior sessions, in the prior semesters, you might have some questions or challenges that you believe need to be handled. So we can discuss those as we are discussing different topics. Is that okay? So, who is a TA? All of you signed up for being a TA. What are you? Why do we need TAs? So, whatever you have in between your 2 years, please use that faculty and speak. Yes. So TA is someone who assists the instructor in the conduct of the course. Okay. What else? What else does the TA do? Okay. A TA also ensures that the work is divided well between the instructor and the other TAs. Okay. What else? He's a bridge between the student and faculty. Very nice. Okay. What else? What else is a TA? See, if even if you have not been a TA earlier in various courses at IIIT Delhi, you have had TAs who you have worked with, is it not? So what is for you the role of a TA? If you are going to play that role today, what is a TA for you? Any more ideas? Any more suggestions? Encourages the students to clear doubts, ask questions. Okay, very nice. So, to be available to students who are shy and afraid of approaching professors, and be a friend to them so that you can solve their problems. Okay, nice. What else? What else is a TA to you? Or what else? What kind of a TA do you want to be? All of you have signed up for being a TA, na? Okay, TA is an opportunity to behave like a professional and handle situations that you will probably see, experience in your professional uh, job, domain, whatever. Okay, nice. So, in summary, we can say that a TA is a person who should be approachable to the students so that if they have any challenges in learning, they can reach out to the TA. If they are afraid of approaching the professor, can we say that? Have you experienced TAs like that in your past courses that you may have done? So TA acts as a bridge between the instructor and the class and the students there. So all the esteemed guests who are arriving now, please be aware that the session has been extended because of multiple reasons, and you will expect it to be here at until 3. So an attendance will also be taken at 3 to ensure that you are around. Okay. Okay. So while we asked about what is a TA, we also did talk about what a good TA does. A good TA helps students understand and learn the course, assists the instructor in the smooth delivery of the program of the course, and very importantly, see, you have been using Google Classrooms in your courses. TAs also handle a lot of logistics for the course. So TAs are a key gear or a very key component through which the curriculum or the learning outcomes of any course are achieved. And that is the reason. Okay. So that is the reason why it is important to own up this responsibility with the level of commitment that it takes. So if you expect something out of your students, you better do that yourself first, is it not? You want your students to come prepared to the class? You be prepared. So, all of you, have you already? So, have you already interacted with your instructor, the instructor of your course? How many of you have not interacted with your instructor even now? It's already we are into the 4th week of the semester. How many of you have not interacted with your instructor even now? Anyone over here? Yeah, please raise your hand if you have not. Raise it high so that I can see you. Okay. Uh, why is that the case? You didn't know how to approach your instructor. Okay. What about you? Okay. There was one person on that side also. Yeah. Okay. So what I see common in these three responses is that they were assigned the TA in the last round. What I also see common is their instructor did not call them. What I also see common is they did not even try to reach out to their instructor. If you've been assigned a TA duty, it's already 3 weeks into the semester. Uh, shouldn't there be a sense of urgency that, oh, I have to reach out and know what I have missed? Is it so difficult to just pick up and write an email to the instructor and say, I'm the new TA assigned to your course, and please tell me what I need to do? Is it very difficult? Would this have been done? Okay, so you have interacted with the TF, that is fine. But those of you who not even gotten a glimpse of what responsibilities you are assigned, how will you play this role that we're talking about? So ideally, as soon as, now, you're not being TAs only for this time. And this is not just about TA assignment, practically. See, I've worked in industry for a very long time. And I can tell you, see, over the more than 18, 19 years that I was with ST, I might have interviewed nothing, at least 500, 600 candidates for different roles in my organization. And every year I would have evaluated more than 30 people for their performance. Okay. And I can tell you that such things are not just happening now over here. When you are in a job, it will happen that your manager will assign you some activity with some team leader and let it be. If you wait for the team leader to now get in touch with you, that's not going to be good for your appraisal. So those of you who are using the phones in the class, it's not a good thing to do that. What we're talking here is not just about a 2 credit or something like 10,000, 12,000 rupees a month thing that you are going to do in the next few months. This session, I also want to share with you some very important tips about how to have a flourishing career as we go forward. This training is not just about how to be a good TA, it is also about how to be a good professional. So if you really want to have a great career going forward, I can assure you that if you pay attention to what we are talking about here, it will help you long term. Okay. So I was sharing about my experience of such people who, even after being assigned a team leader, would wait for the team leader to approach them and assign them work. Such people, I would never rate above very good. Highest rating was outstanding. So in a 5-point scale, they could never, ever go above 3.5 or 4. Do you want to be like that? Or do you want to be one who scores a 5 on 5? Not now, but every time. How many of you want to be that 5 cross 5, 5 on 5 kind of a person in your careers, in your jobs? So the training starts now. Magic nahi ho jayega. I'm telling you this. As you move from here into your jobs, yes, something will change. We will talk about that later. There's a session that I have in my YouTube channel. You can watch that. But oh, आप लोग तो कहाँ आपको कुछ प्री वर्क दिया जाता है, आप तो वो भी नहीं करते हैं, तो कहाँ अलग से कुछ देखेंगे? Forget it. Don't do it. But I can tell you that if you do not own up the responsibility that has been assigned to you, you will never be able to touch that 5 on 5 mark. And and those employees who actually used to get 5 on 5, you will see that the qualities of a professional TA that we're going to talk about, they actually live those qualities day in and day out. Okay. So if you are not clear about what responsibilities you have as a TA and have not taken a download from your teaching fellow or your instructor, course instructor, this is the time to do it. It would have already been done, but if it has not been done yet, please get that clarity. This is most important. If you have an expectation mismatch with your manager expects this, you are doing this, or manager expects this and you are doing this. Nothing more than 3.5 on 5. Because you are getting paid for what is expected. If you do not deliver on that, you will not get a good rating. Forget about the S and X grade. क्या S और X से क्या फर्क पड़ता है? आपकी GPA पे भी कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, कहीं कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता. But I'm not talking about S and X. I'm talking about the grade that you will get in your jobs. And this is the time to practice it. Do not think that you will become professional just like this. It doesn't happen. It's your choice. You utilize this opportunity of the next 6 months to train on being a good professional, or waste 6 months of your career once you join a job to learn the hard way. You decide what you want to do. Okay? So, while at the beginning of semester, you have to take a download of what your responsibilities are. During the semester, you should make it a point to regularly interact with the instructor or the teaching fellow, whoever you are expected to report to. Why? Why? Why is that interaction very important? For you and then for the class. So that there is no communication gap because expectations evolve. So I believe since you are all senior students, you would have worked on some project or another outside of coursework until now. Have you? All of you have done something outside of coursework, some projects? How many? So how many of you have done something like that? Okay. Not just in triple IT, anywhere. You've done. Okay. So have you experienced that you set out on a project, you set out on an activity with some mindset, and over time, as new facts emerge, as you go deeper into the project, new problems emerge, and you need to do some course correction? Has it happened with you? How many of you has it happened? A large number of you have already experienced this. So the first download you took at the beginning of the semester, that's not sufficient. We need to bridge the gap. Have this communication channel constantly open. And that is why a regular interaction is needed. What else? There's so much on the board already. You can just read it and tell. What else? Hello? Why do you think you need to interact with the instructor or the teaching fellow on a regular basis? We talked about one point, which is ensure that the communication and the expectations are handled well. Okay, what else? Okay, that's again that communication part. See, one very important thing is that as TAs, you are the extensions of the instructor. We started this session with this idea of a TA being a friend to the students so that students can approach them for clearing their doubts. We started with that. So As TAs, you are extensions of the instructor. An instructor interacts with the class for just about 3 hours, 4 hours, depending on how many office hours they keep a week. And that too in a very formal and one-to-many kind of a setting. But when you as TAs interact with students, there would be opportunities to interact with them in a one-to-one kind of a setting. Also, one of the key responsibilities of a TA is to handle doubts, handle queries. So the kind of queries that are coming helps the instructor to fine-tune the delivery of the course. Is that right? Are you getting what I'm saying? First row. Yeah. Are you getting what I'm saying? No, you're not. What did I just say?
Why is it important for a TA to
Yeah, what was my answer to that question?
representative of the professor so they should collaborate with the current website can answer the
No.
findings of the students?
No. I had said that we need to be in touch with the class. And because we are in touch with the class and we are extensions of the professor, of the instructor, we help the instructor fine-tune their course delivery
Giving them feedback about the
by relaying the feedback. The kind of queries that are getting in the labs, in the tutorials, and other sessions. So it is extremely important that you not only stay in touch with the students, but also help the instructor fine-tune the curriculum, fine-tune the course. Many topics, my TAs would come to me and tell me, sir, this particular topic, even though you've covered in sufficient detail in the class, there is this nuance that students are asking us questions about over and over again. While we are trying to answer them, we would want you to pick it up in the class again. And it is extremely important to give this kind of feedback because as TAs, probably 10 students would come to you, 5 students will come to you and ask that question. But there are remaining 50 students in the class who probably did not feel it important, find it important enough, or even if they found it important enough, did not have the time or the courage to approach you with the question. When you inform the instructor that this is a very common question that is coming, and the instructor handles it in the class, that question gets handled simultaneously for everyone in the course. Are you able to see this? More importantly, or let us say equally importantly, for the coursework, you have probably done that particular course once. And after that, doing that course once, you are now trying to respond to student queries there. Am I right? You yourself might not be very clear about the answer. Can it happen? But now, because they've asked you a question, you somehow have that urge to respond. Even if the response that you gave is correct, it may not be complete. When the instructor takes it up in the class, they can take it up more comprehensively. Are you with me on this? So it is extremely important to be connected with the instructor on a regular basis. So even if your typical interaction is with the teaching fellow, if you notice that there is a particular kind of query that is coming very frequently, I would strongly recommend you to write that email to the professor and say that, sir, we are getting this kind of a query very frequently. It might be good if you cover it once in the class. And I can assure you, every instructor would love it. Are you with me? So, what are your responsibilities as TAs towards the students? So, yes, you have to grade homeworks, maintain office hours, conduct tutorials, conduct labs, all of that. But what else do you expect from your TAs? When it comes to your TAs, who do you consider as good TAs and not so good TAs? What are the characteristics of a good TA for you? What responsibilities do they take care of in addition to these standard ones? They should know the pulse of the class, what is going on in the class. Okay, so what he's saying is that a good TA should be with the students not just in terms of information and facts, but also in terms of how to analyze, how to critique, how to synthesize the information. Am I right? So you have to help the students go to the next level of understanding. Okay, what else? What else? Who else is a good TA to you? Someone who gives marks easily? Okay, a good TA is unbiased. They are fair. What about these marks? TAs who give marks easily, they are very good, na? Huh? They are good. Who understand the subject effectively and then give marks. Okay. So they are so easy marks वाले TAs अच्छे नहीं होते. Okay. So are you hearing this? Even though personally, when you approach the TA and they give you marks easily, you liked it, but you also somehow lost some respect for them, is it not? यार इसके सामने जाके बस ना हल्का सा रो दो, marks मिल जाएंगे. That was what happened, na? The word spreads very fast, is it not? Then everyone wants to come to you. Sir, please recheck my answer script. I deserve more marks. Sir, I'm getting a C. Please give me one more mark. I will get a B minus. So while the TA may do it, but do you realize that they also fall down in your eyes in terms of respect? What does this indicate? This indicates somewhere a loss of integrity. Are you able to see this? So somewhere a good TA has to maintain the standards of the course and the integrity of the course. If there is a rubric according to which everyone has been graded, just because one student came to you and cried in front of you कि मेरा grade खराब हो रहा है, if you give them marks, you are being observed as loose. And don't think this will just remain between the two of you. It will not. The word will spread. Then everyone wants to come to you only. So a good TA, in addition to doing all these things, also ensures that they are fair and they do not indulge the students beyond what is appropriate. Are you with me? So, इतना सब कुछ करना ही क्यों है? Why should you be a TA? Many reasons for that. First, as I already mentioned, it's a training for you. It's a training for life. When you play the role of a TA, we are kind of simulating the environment you will get in your office. How many of you are interested in joining a job or having some work after doing your coursework over here? You don't want to do anything after closing the coursework over here? That is also some work, na? In the master's ke baad you don't want to do anything? You want to do something. No one wants to just complete this coursework and stay at home. Am I right? Anyone like that over here? Who just is doing the coursework over here for fun and doesn't want to do anything after that? No. All of you, after this place, want to go somewhere where you will handle some position of responsibility. Even if that responsibility is small initially, all of you also aspire to carry huge responsibility over time. Am I right? Anyone over here who wants to start with this responsibility and stay with this responsibility only for life? Anyone over here like that? No, I'm not like that. So all of us want to grow in terms of our capacity to handle responsibility. So this TA training or this TA responsibility is the first such introduction to you. See, अभी तक देखिए, जब तक आप until you actually played the role of a TA, your only role was that of a learner. Do you realize this? You are only responsible to yourself and for your learning. Nothing beyond that. Are you with me? But now that you've taken that next step, you are also responsible for an entire class that you are handling. Are you able to see this? This is not a small transition. And it is important that you realize that this is a dummy workspace that we are creating for you. In your workplace, you will have a manager. Over here, you have your teaching fellow or your instructor. In a workplace, you will have colleagues. Over here, you have your peer TAs working alongside you with the same objective of having a good course. In a workplace, after some time, you will probably also have subordinates whose growth and development is your responsibility. And over here, there are students who are playing that role for you. Are you able to see the parallels? So what we are talking about over here is not just about these 6 months. We're talking about how to develop that professional ethic. And one very key thing of being a professional is being on time. So all of you latecomers in the last rows, this is a message for you. I believe some of you came so late that you did not realize that I asked very clearly that the laptops be turned off. Thank you. So, TA responsibility is an emulation of what you have to experience in your jobs or in your workplace later. So, if you actually walk into your jobs like this, the way you have walked into this room, half an hour late, 20 minutes late for a 2-hour session. In fact, you only knew it was a 1.5-hour session before you came. It's not going to do well for you. If there's a 1-hour tutorial and you reach the class 10 minutes late, it's not good. Okay. So a good TA is a professional TA and is a knowledgeable TA. So there's this another leadership program that I conduct in which we talk about a very important trait that a good employee, team member, executive has. That trait is called trustworthiness. Trustworthiness comes. Okay, how many of you think trustworthiness is an important trait for an employee or for a person? See, only when you are trustworthy will you be assigned some responsibility. If I cannot trust you, can I assign any responsibility to you? No. So To be trustworthy, there are two very key things that you have to have in place. First is consistency, discipline, okay? Integrity, that I have said something, I'm living up to it. But that is not enough. Second, very important thing is competence. Uh, let's look at it like this. There is this help, household help that you have, who consistently comes on time, comes daily, doesn't bother you. That is not something that you're worried about. Is very pure, will not steal anything from your homes, but she doesn't know how to cook food, doesn't have the competence of cooking. Can you trust such help with, let us say, a meal, preparing a meal, with the responsibility of preparing a meal when guests are coming to your home? Will you be willing to do that? How many of you can take that risk? So, trustworthiness is not just about integrity, it is also about knowledge. Now, suppose there is a very good, a very intelligent and a very good cook. Uska, kuch people, some people have this knack. जो बनाते हैं वो बहुत tasty बनता है. I'm talking about food because this is lunch hour. Okay. So some people really cook very good food. But now let us say this person is inconsistent. Kaha ki I will come at 1, but comes at 1:30. Kaha ki I will come every day, but randomly, without informing, takes an off. Now you have some guests coming. Would you again depend on this person for making food? Probably not. And if you do, you will be harassed by calling this person over and over again कि भाई आजा 1 बजे आना था, 1:15 हो गया, you are not here yet, आ तो रही है, नहीं आ रही है, all that. And you don't like that experience, do you? So a good TA or a good employee, whichever way you want to look at it, because I'm looking at it as a lesson for life, not just for these 6 months. A trustworthy employee exhibits both the characteristics: being consistent, having high integrity, and also being competent. Are you with me? Any questions? Okay. So we're going into more details about how a good TA should interact with the students. Uh, very important, confidentiality of the grades. As TAs, you will be privy to a lot of information which is actually very private. Can you imagine that you're not doing well in a particular course and that you got 2 out of 35 or 40 in your midsem exam? This information is made available to everyone in the class. Would you like it that way? No. So, marks, how much ever simple thing you think, maybe, people don't want to disclose them. Am I right? Even if someone is getting good marks, you may not want to disclose them to your other peers. They should not know that you are eyeing an A. Otherwise, they will work hard and they will eye that A. ऐसा भी होता है ना? So, a good TA has to definitely ensure that the confidentiality of the grades or the marks is maintained. For them, every student should be equal. For many of you, you will notice that there will be opportunities or instances when one of your friend is also in the same class for which you are a TA. There should be no preferential treatment to them. None at all. And that preferential treatment may mean uh, giving them hints or pointers about, okay, what is important, what is not important, if you're not giving them to everyone in the class. If you're giving those pointers to everyone in the class in a common platform and they are also a part of that common platform, that's absolutely fine. But not in a setting where, okay, they are at a significant or even any advantage in comparison to someone who doesn't know you personally. Are you with me? Have you seen other TAs doing this? How many of you have seen other TAs doing this? You can raise your hand. I know. Hi. So many of you have. What do you feel about such TAs? Can you respect them ever? The same is true when you do a job. If you are a team leader and you treat any one of the employees preferentially, you lose respect in eyes of everyone. You think you have made a good friend, you've built a great relationship, but in reality, you're losing respect in eyes of everyone. And the message would reach your seniors also, by the way. So it's not that आपने नीचे दोस्ती बनाई तो बस बन गया. The message will reach up there also. So being fair is extremely important. Are you with me on this? So other aspects of being professional, for example, if you're coming late, you have to inform. If you're not coming, you have to inform. If there is a scheduled tutorial or a lab and you know that you're not coming, you have to ensure there is a replacement TA or a substitute session that you organize and conduct. All of these are fairly evident. Any questions, any doubts, any concerns around any of these topics where you think that you will not be able to do this as a TA? Okay. Uh, Punctuality. So all these backbenchers, that's a very important trait for a TA. Please take care of it. Uh, when there are multiple TAs in a course, so for how many of you, you are more than 2 TAs in the course that you are assigned? For how many of you it is the case? So a lot of you. So you also have office hours that you have to conduct. You have to ensure that your office hours are well spread out through the week. So that it is not that agar ek din one student is not there or not well or completely occupied with some other thing, then they do not have any other opportunity to interact with the TA or with the instructor or things like that. So ensure, now this is as much a responsibility of the teaching fellow or the instructor as it is of you. But if you see that clustering is happening, you should volunteer to ensure that this clustering doesn't happen. Can we take care of this? So have you all already identified your office hours? How many of you have not identified your office hours, weekly office hours yet? Please raise your hand. See, I do not even know your names. I do not have any means to or mechanism to reach out to your instructors and tell them. I'm just asking this for understanding where are we placed. So how many of you have not yet announced your regular office hours to the class? Okay, so it means all of you have. Now just reflect. Close your eyes and reflect. Are these office hours clustered for you or for this particular course? If they are clustered, my strong recommendation would be please spread them out. Also, we'll talk about that a little later also. If in your office hours, you observe that not many students are coming, okay? In your office hours, if you observe that not many students are coming, please recheck with the class if whatever you announced is even okay with them or not. Are you with me? Hmm? So it is extremely important that, see, when you're saying office hours, you're anyways allocating your time for that particular course. You are anyways available in that particular tute room or in that particular meeting room, leaving aside your own research, your own work, and still sitting there. Then better someone makes use of that time rather than you just wailing it away on Instagram or YouTube Shorts or something on your phone. Is it not? So please ensure that the timings that you set are not such that students have another class with those timings, and therefore they're not able to come to your office hours. It doesn't make any sense. So your choice of office hours has to be such that they do not clash with any other regular assignment or class that they have to take care of. Are you with me? Then this last thing, we discussed this and we discussed this at length in the video also. Uh, you have a friend or a student approaches you on a lunch table or dinner table. Ki, Bhaiya, sir, Didi, I have this question. Can you help me? What should you do? What should you do? It's lunchtime. You're in the canteen. Someone comes to you, asks you, please, I have this query. What do you do? So, okay, one aspect of it is मैं lunch कर रहा हूँ, lunch के समय तो मुझे lunch करने दो. That's where this boundary thing is coming from. But do you also realize that when you respond to queries in a one-to-one kind of a setting, you are in some way giving an undue advantage to that student? Are you able to see that? So we do not want to do that. What you can in such a situation, what would you recommend in such a situation? If a student,
Ceasing the class.
Email me and I will answer CCing the class. Is there another better way?
Tell the professor.
Tell the professor. Okay, something else?
So,
Office hours. Okay. Google Classroom. All of you have Google Classroom? Why don't you ask them to post the query in the Google Classroom so that when the TA or when the professor, because on the Google Classroom, the instructor is also there. If not the TAs, the instructor will respond. And that answer reaches everyone automatically. Are you able to see this? So what is very important is that, so we already said that if there are many people asking a question, you know this point is probably not well covered in the class, the professor should take it up in the class again. But this is not a very often asked question. It's a nuance. It's something that is a little deeper. But even that, if asked on a Google Classroom, doesn't harm anyone. Anyone else who also has interest in going deeper into the course can benefit from that learning. And that kind of reduces your effort. See, I have found it very convenient to be able to handle common queries in common sessions. And then what I do is I will just zip that thing and put it on YouTube. If anyone else has a similar query, please. You want to approach me, I'm not available in my office, you struggle, you do all that. Instead, you have YouTube on your fingertips, open the video, there is a query answered, at least you will get one view. It might settle you, it might not. But at least first input you have. Your case may be unique. You may still want to come and meet me. Or the student's case may be unique. What you solved in the common platform might not be sufficient for them. They may come and approach you and ask you that question again. That's fine. But at least they know that one view. They have better insight than where they started from. So the more effectively you use these common platforms that we have, you will reduce your burden. Otherwise, you will repeat the same explanation over and over again. एंड देन ऑल ऑफ अस आर ह्यूमन बीइंग्स, थोड़े टाइम बाद आपको गुस्सा आएगा, क्या यार इतना बेसिक सा चीज नहीं समझ में आती. So utilize the systems that are in place to your advantage. Are you with me? So we will skip this. Now professional conduct towards the instructor. See, students के लिए grades की बात थी. But do you realize that not all of you, but for many of you, you will be asked to prepare quizzes. You will be asked to propose questions in the question paper. So many things will happen where you have access to something that can really completely undo the course actually. Imagine the question paper of a course, or few questions of a end sem exam or mid sem exam are made available to students in advance. Okay, they will get good marks, but does it help them? Answer this thing to me. What do you remember more? Questions that you have attempted wrong or questions that you did well? What do you remember better? So first, I want to ask the questions that you attempted wrong. How many of you think you remember those questions better? So then I don't need to ask the inverse because that's a vast majority. Every one of you is telling that if I attempt something wrong, I'm more curious about what is the right answer. And having done it wrong once, I will probably remember the answer and not repeat the same mistake. See, all of us said we have something in between the 2 years. So we'll utilize that faculty and not repeat the same mistake again, is it not? So when you give out, dole out questions to your friends or to someone, I'm telling you, you're not doing them a favor. They might get good marks, but when the same question is asked to them in the interview, they will not be able to answer it. So really, आपको लग रहा है उसके अच्छे marks आप ensure कर रहे हो, but you're not really doing them any good. Worse, you will not be able to, look yourself in the mirror and say that you are fair. You have fallen on the level of integrity. All those things. What you do to your inner self, that is a different thing. मैं कह रहा हूं जिसके लिए आप कर रहे थे, जिसको आप समझ रहे थे फेवर कर रहे हो, that also you're doing them disservice. So it is extremely important that you maintain the confidentiality of question papers, quizzes, whatever you are working on. Because when an instructor trusts you with that, the first thing we are trusting you with is, or first component of it is integrity. You fall on integrity, and I tell you, it will be difficult to trust you again. So again, in that, these leadership sessions that I conduct, there is this concept of what we call as emotional bank account. How many of you have heard this term emotional bank account earlier? How many of you have heard this term bank account earlier? Okay. बाकी लोगों का बैंक अकाउंट नहीं है? Okay. So in a typical bank account, if I go to the bank and deposit 10 rupees, what does the ledger say? Plus 10. If the ledger says plus 5, what will you do? You will shout at the manager and say, चोर, मैंने 10 रुपए जमा कराए थे, you've credited only 5, 5 रुपए तुम खा गए. Am I right? So what you deposit, 10 rupees, 10 rupees have to be credited. But this emotional bank account is a very tricky thing. Here, if I deposit something, if I make a deposit in the emotional bank account, I may deposit 10 times, but one withdrawal can completely empty it. emotional bank account is not handled by you. When I have a relationship with you, I do not handle my emotional bank account with you. You handle it. I am trying to make a deposit. You might consider that as a withdrawal. I see some people nodding, but I know you do not understand what I have said. Let me give you a situation. You have a very important quiz lined up tomorrow. Okay. And your friend comes up to you and says, Arey yaar, you like this Daljit Doshna. Bhaiya na? Daljit Dosanjh, yeah. You love this guy, and pata hai, uska aaj show ho raha hai, and I've got this ticket for you. Both you and I will come together. You have a quiz tomorrow. It's a very important quiz. It can actually, this is one of the last quizzes in the season, and this can actually flip between A or an A minus. And this friend says, नहीं तो कुछ चलना है, मैं तो ये देखो तेरे लिए टिकट लेकर आया. Now it's a close friend. They knew you love this guy. And somehow, in that mutual respect or friendship, you did go. What is running in your mind at that time? Are you going for yourself or are you going for that person now? How many of you think you're going for that person? So now this person has done something for you, thinking that they are obligating you, that you are now under obligation. But when you are going, you are obliging this person now, actually. So the friend did something to deposit, but you considered it as a withdrawal. ऐसा होता है? So in this emotional bank account, this happens very frequently. Because whether something is a deposit or a withdrawal is not determined by you, it is determined by the other person. Trust is like that. Okay. Let us say I made a deposit of 50,000 rupees. Okay. 50,000 acts I did to build that deposit with you. Consistent, everything I did. But now one particular day you trusted me with something and I did not live up to your trust, did not live up to your expectations. What happens? All that 50,000 goes for a toss. What will you say? यार तूने ऐसा कर दिया. ऐसा होता है मूवीज में तो बहुत होता है, बट आपकी लाइफ में ऐसा हुआ है that someone broke your trust, then okay, that person has been doing so many good things to you. एक बार उसने कुछ गलत करा तो एक बार सही कर देगा तो हो जाना चाहिए. But when do you start to trust them again? He's saying never. No. So this person has to live up to the standards at least 10 times. When you will next time say, okay, try it again. Depending on how close, how intimate your friendship is, you may say 5 times or you may say 100 times. He's saying never. So do you realize how much deposit, how much withdrawal? It's not just what is a deposit, what is a withdrawal, but also how much is a deposit and how much is a withdrawal is not determined by you. It is determined by the other person. So if you break the confidentiality code, it's a huge withdrawal, I tell you. Huge withdrawal. If you yourself, plagiarism, I can tell you as a professor that if I find a case of plagiarism, I would not trust that person with anything important going forward. Never. Okay, not never. They will have to do a lot more than any other student to gain my trust again. It appears this very small thing, just एक क्वेश्चन ही तो दोस्त से कॉपी करा था. But now it's highlighted. I know that your integrity is here, not here. And if your integrity is here, I'll probably not trust you with many things. Unless you over and over demonstrate it over and over again that no, my integrity is here. That one thing was an exception. So plagiarism it's such a thing. Cheating is such a thing. Breaking the confidentiality code over here is such a thing. Do not tread those paths. They might seem like easy paths, they might seem like convenient paths at times, but I am telling you, they will just pull you down in life. Not just in front of your professor or not just in front of your manager, in life. Imagine this happening with your spouse, with your parents. Imagine parents can't trust a child. Is it a good situation to be in? You not being able to trust, or your children not being able to trust you. Is it a good thing? You might not break their trust, but since they notice that you break other people's trust, I tell you, they will not trust you. Obviously, none of you is a parent yet. I'm a parent, and I can tell you that uh, being a parent actually teaches you how to be that perfect person, ideal person that you probably want your children to be. Training starts now when you're doing this TA. Is that okay? यहाँ पे कोई कहेगा सर मुझे तो पेरेंट बनना ही नहीं, मैं क्यों करूं? ऐसा हो सकता है, you don't want to be a parent, fine, but you still want to be a leader somewhere, you still want to help other people grow. See, parent is one thing that, okay, this child is mine and I have to help them grow. But even if you're a team leader, there's a team that you have to help grow. So many things are there. So as a TA, you are expected to invest at least 10 hours per week in your TA duties. If you're not spending at least 10 hours per week, you're losing an opportunity to learn and grow. Okay? However, if you are spending much more than 10 hours a week, then you are being taken for a ride. Now, since it's just a start of the semester, it meant you might not have experienced this yet. Those who have been TAs earlier might have experienced this. But if it so happens that you feel that you're spending more than 10 hours per week on your TA duty, alarm bells should ring. There is something wrong. And you should there and then go and discuss with the instructor. In an office space, with your manager, with your team leader. Because this is not the expectation. What could be wrong? One thing that could very easily be wrong is that you are doing something in a way which is not the most efficient way to do that thing. There are tools which can be used, but you are doing all that work manually. You're not using automation. There could be shortcuts that could be used, but you're not aware of them. So when you approach the instructor or the TF for this, what happens is they help you improve your performance. It may also happen that they're not even aware that you are handling such a lot of responsibility as a TA. And there could be someone else who is having a free ride. So they can also reassign the workload so that you do not end up spending more than that kind of time. So it's extremely important to be alert about this. Okay, 10 ka 10.5 ghante, it's okay. 10 hours, 30 minutes is fine. 11 is also okay. But consistently you are spending more than 12 hours, 15 hours. Not a good situation to be in. Why? Because you have other courses to handle yourself. You are also students finally, is it not? Those of you who are PhD students may not have other courses, but you have your research work to take care of. Other students have their other courses to handle. So we don't want it to be an unfair thing to you. But we do expect you to invest at least 10 hours per week. on your TA duties. If you're not doing that, either someone else in your team is doing it for you, or anyways, you're missing a very important opportunity to learn and grow. So talk to the professor and say if there is anything else that you can do to help them, volunteer to do that. Okay. How many of you are TAs for a course which you know nothing about? So what do you do? Because abhi humne kaha a good TA is a knowledgeable TA. You should be able to handle the queries of the students in some way. But we just now saw that about 5 to 10% of TAs over here are handling courses which they themselves know nothing about. So what to do in such a situation? So one thing is for sure, you probably cannot conduct office hours. You do not know the course. If you conduct office hours, you will be no good. But still, this is an opportunity. So what can you do? In such a case, when you are not the content provider, you can be the process provider. Do you see the distinction between the content and the process or the method? So content is the knowledge of the course, but the process is ensuring that the grades are up to date, ensuring that the other TAs are able to perform their duties better. So you can be the administrative TA. Now, it can happen that you have been assigned such a responsibility in a course where there are only one more TA. So the professor expects you to also handle student queries. So now you should have a very candid one-to-one discussion with your instructor that, sir, ma'am, I have not done this course ever. If you expect me to be in this position where I handle student queries, there is a risk that I may not be able to handle them well. There is a risk I may give them a wrong answer, and I do not want to do that. So, how do we proceed? They may tell you, okay, so they may give you multiple options. One thing could be attend the lectures along with the other students, and after the lectures, come to me. I will discuss with you separately any doubts you may have. I will clarify them for you, so that you have an advantage over the class that you're going to take, the tutorial that you're going to take. Okay. Another option that they may give you is, okay, be an administrative TA. Third, that they may tell you is that, no, you should learn this course. It's an important course. Whether you attend the classes or not, I'm not bothered, but you still have to handle. So what to do when you're left such high and dry? What to do if the professor says, nahi, tumhari se dardi hai? This can happen in your workplace also. And they will claim that you are ChatGPT experts, na? You know how to use ChatGPT. ChatGPT will answer for you. Now, ChatGPT doesn't answer, actually. It appears to answer. It doesn't help you. But someone will say that to you. So what will you do in such a situation?
So that person will study the material alongside discussing it with other TAs.
Good. So you may attend the classes because that is the first step. And if the instructor is not available to help you with, so aisa hoga nahi usually, but if the instructor is not available to help you with your doubts, check them out with the teaching fellow or with other TAs in the course. But do not enter into an office hours or a tutorial without being well prepared yourself. Again, you must have experienced some TAs who don't know what they're talking about. They don't know about the course well. Do you respect them? No. So whenever you enter into a tutorial room, whenever you enter into a lab, you should be aware and more knowledgeable than the students around you. Is it not? That's a fair expectation from the student side also, is it not? So you will have to work extra hard. And then in such a case, you can say that if I'm doing that kind of work preparing for those office hours, I will not be able to do any administrative responsibilities. I will not be able to grade papers, or I will not be able to do something. So basically, you still have to ensure that your commitment to any particular TA assignment is 10 hours. And if that is not acceptable, work with the academic office, get a, now this is too late now, but this is for the early phases of TA allotment. Work with the academic office and get your TA duty replaced. Okay. Now this can't happen now. We're already past that window. But this kind of a thing can happen in the early part of the semester if you are alert. Okay. So we already talked about punctuality, and this is an important aspect. How do you handle the Google Classroom or the emails? So what was very rightly pointed out by her was that you should not give responses to emails on a one-to-one basis. If someone does send you an email, you should still respond to the entire class. If it's a technical subject related topic, you can still respond to the entire class. Okay. While you encourage them to ask this question on the Google Classroom, people will send emails. So you can still respond to the entire class. It's a good practice. It's not just a good practice, it ensures that you remain fair. Additionally, there's something about the subject of emails also, where the subject of the email that you send should be clear enough for people to understand what this is being talked about. Do not keep vague subjects like regarding assignment, due date. Give the information. Assignment 4, due on this and on Google Classroom. Are you with me? So bring that clarity in your language. Grading and rubrics. I think this is common understanding that grades have to be kept confidential and that they have to be entered and updated in the classroom at the earliest possible instance, on time. It is a requirement from the institute that before the end sem happens, every student should have access to their pre-end sem total. Have you utilized this facility for the courses that you have? Have you noticed that pre-end sem total is shared with all of you? Most of the courses do that. There could be some courses that don't do that. As a student, you can demand it. And as a TA, you have to ensure it. Are you with me on this? As a student, you can demand from the instructor, from the TAs of the course, that the pre-end sem total is released with the breakup of where you got which kind of marks. And as a TA, you have to ensure that it is done. Are you with me on this? So I'm not repeating everything that is there on the slides. All of you can also read that. I'm simply highlighting the most important parts which need to be taken care of. What happens if you notice that someone has plagiarized? What would you do? You're checking papers and you notice that, or assignments, and you notice that there is some plagiarism happening there. What would you do? Inform instructor and immediately. Okay. What else? Talk to the student. Okay. What else? Give proof to the student, to the instructor. Okay. Yeah. What else? So, as a TA, your immediate responsibility is to inform the instructor. It is instructor's responsibility to talk to the student, not yours. You don't take that burden. See, the plagiarism, the consequence of plagiarism is very severe in our institute. All of you are aware of that. Am I right? If you're caught plagiarizing, if you're caught cheating, then uh, that particular assignment or that particular component, you get a 0. If this is the first case, okay, just 1 grade lowering. If it's the second case, you get an F. The third case, you get a DAC in addition to the top 2 things. So plagiarism is absolutely not acceptable. Cheating is absolutely not acceptable. Integrity is kept high up. Okay. And it may be very difficult for you as a TA to handle the pressure of a student coming to you and telling you, complaining to you, कि देखो तुम्हारी वजह से मेरी डिग्री 6 महीना डिले हो गई, तुम्हारी वजह से मेरी जॉब चला गया. We do not expect you to carry this burden on you. So you're not expected to talk to the student. If you do talk to the student, you are at the risk of ending up being bullied, if nothing else. We don't want you to have this to happen to you. Okay? So all that we are expecting you to do is inform the instructor. Can we do that? All of us? If we notice that someone has cheated, our responsibility is to inform the instructor, and it ends there. Give the instructor the proof or the reason why you believe this cheating has happened, and that's it. Let the instructor handle it from there on. We don't want you to carry the burden beyond this much. But this we definitely expect. Is it clear? Hmm? So, this is important. When it comes to fair grading, so Sanjana, we are also doing an attendance at the end of the session. Am I right? Yeah. So, when it comes to fair grading, one very important thing that we have to take care of is that every question is handled by the same set of TAs. It should not be that question 1 to question 7, uh, in one place, one TA is handling, and for you, so okay. There are 60 students in the class, there are 2 TAs, 7 questions in the question paper. The way to split the effort is first 3 questions, 1 TA does, or particular 3 questions, 1 TA does, remaining questions, the other TA does. Not like first 30 roll numbers you do, second 30 roll numbers I do. Even when the rubric is clearly defined, there can be discrepancies if the same question is handled by other TAs. Okay? So as a TA, if you notice that the teaching fellow or anyone in the group is trying to assign in a manner where there is a chance of unfairness, raise a flag. Let the instructor know if that is required. Because otherwise, it may end up being unfair. Now, there are many courses in which there could be more than 10 TAs, 20 TAs, but only 3 questions in a particular exam or 5 questions in an exam. So obviously, 4 TAs will be answering or checking 1 question. In such situations, all the 4 TAs should be physically present together when they are checking. So that if there is any ambiguity in that physical setting itself, the question is asked and resolved and arrived at a common understanding कि अगर किसी ने ऐसा लिखा है तो इतने मार्क्स देने हैं. Are you with me? It's not a best practice, it is a mandatory thing. Is that okay? So how you split the grading of question papers at the time of evaluating them is extremely important, and you have to ensure that it is done in a fair manner. So this we already discussed, that if there are common problems, in fact, let the instructor know, let them handle it in the classroom so that everyone gets that thing. Uh, Rubric. So at least for my courses, what I always insist upon is that even before the exam happens, the model answer paper should be there. Okay. And before the answers are showed to the class, before the answer scripts are shown to the class, the rubric is already shared with them. So they already know what is it that they expect. If you do not do that, then there will be tens of queries which are not needed. Are you with me? If you do not prepare the rubric before conduct of the exam, there is a possibility that a question which is ambiguous will not be clarified sufficiently well. Okay. So insist that whatever exam is happening, whatever assignment or whatever quiz is happening, its rubric is made available before the conduct of the exam. Validate and check the rubric before that happens. And then almost as soon as the exam ends, the quiz ends, the rubric can be released to the class. So that students already know that, okay, oh, ye galat hua tha. This question I struggled badly. What is the right answer? This way they will remember it well. Are you with me? So rubrics are also very strong means to enhance and further the learning that has happened in the class. So in the class, if the instructor has gone until point X, in the rubrics, you can take the liberty to go to point X plus delta so that students get to know more about the topic than just what the question was. Many times I have seen that a rubric is created which is very to the point and doesn't handle alternate responses. A good rubric should include all the possible alternates. In fact, a good question paper is such that there are not many alternates. But if there are, then a good rubric is one that handles all the possible alternatives. Are you with me? So ensuring that the rubric is there before the quiz happens or the exam happens ensures that you also make a good question paper there. Okay. Tutorials. Here again, have the solutions to the worksheet with you. Work those questions out yourself before you go for a tutorial. If you're not prepared well, you lose respect in the eyes of the students. Obviously, you're not able to help them. That is one thing, that is a given. But you also lose respect in the eyes of the student. So prepare yourself well. That preparation time is included in the time you're putting for your TA work, by the way. Okay? So prepare yourself well. You are given that time. You're given that bandwidth to prepare yourself well. If it so happens that students are not turning up into your TARs, discuss this with the instructor. Typically, what I do is I clearly distinguish the responsibilities that I will handle in my office hours and which I expect my TAs to handle in their office hours. So what happens is that not everyone throngs my office hours, and they have a reason to reach out to TAs when they have queries related to a different set of topics that I am not covering. Okay. That doesn't mean that the topics that you get to cover are less important. They are equally important. That is why students will come to you. So work with the professor to ensure that there is some part which is exclusive to you, to your sessions. That could be these worksheets, that could be uh, some, uh, you know, X plus delta kind of questions that you are covering in your tutorials. Uh, that could also be, in some cases, I've seen professors also picking up questions directly from the worksheet and putting that in the question paper, so that there is a motivation for students to come to the tutorial and get those worksheets done in the tutorial. So you can work with the instructor to ensure that right policies are in place, so that when you are preparing and when you're spending time, students also benefit from it. If it so happens that despite all of this, students are not coming to you, you need to introspect. Where are you going wrong? Are you encouraging questions? Are you allowing them to speak, ask, propose alternative answers, or you just snub them when they say something? Are you with me? So, just some problems, students not attending tutorials. One very important thing where you could go wrong is that you are not well prepared. And if you are not well prepared, students see it. Then they will not come to you. So you have to take care of what you are doing. So it also happens that students do not ask doubts. Like, this is a kind of a dead class. You're not asking me anything. So in such a situation, you can encourage them to respond physically. For example, I'm asking you to raise hands. I'm trying to keep the class interactive in one manner. Okay. Uh, so, and probably that is all that you can do many times. But ensure that from your end, you are putting your best effort. You are well prepared. When you enter a class, you are willing to give your 100% to the class. Because if you are not willing to give your 100%, तुम्हारे mind में चल रहा है कि यार मेरी वहां पे quiz pending है, I have to do that assignment, जल्दी से खत्म हो and I go and do it, then obviously they will know. They will know that you're just there to finish a responsibility. You do this once, it's like emotional bank account, like trust. You'll have to undo it 5 times for them to trust you again. But the problem with this is that once they stop coming to your sessions, they will not even know that you undone it twice, 10 times or 5 times. So you better don't enter into that trap. When you are in a session, you are in that session, 100%. Okay? So there could be bonus points for coming to the session. We gave bonus points over here for people who sit in the first 2 rows or in the central aisle. So you can give bonus points so that students respond. And it usually works because marks is a currency that students understand well. You know this. So you can do that. What is also very important is that never put them down for a question that they asked. I can assure you, no question is a silly question. In fact, some of the biggest discoveries have come out of some very fundamental questions that people asked, and the instructor or the person realized that, yes, I never thought about this myself. So the questions that students ask you can actually deepen your insights, can bring new possibilities to your attention. Okay. So never put down a question that is coming from a student. Never. And it will actually help you to learn, do things better yourself. But more importantly, students will trust that they can come up to you with any question. Otherwise, they will stop approaching you. You will not remain approachable to them. Okay. And this is not true just when you are a TA. For those of you who want to do masters or do PhD later and want to be a faculty or a professor yourself sometime later in life, this is true even then. For those of you who want to do a job, this is true even for you, because imagine आपका एक team member है, आपने उसको कुछ काम assign करा, you assigned some work to them, and this person, because you were not approachable, assumed something and did the work the way they found was right. But in reality, that method was wrong. There's a customer delivery due. On delivery day -1, you realize that it's been done the wrong way. What happens? Either you have a night out in front of you, yourself, or you miss the delivery. You do not want such a consequence to happen just because you are not approachable. Are you with me? So, again, whatever we are talking about being a good TA is not just about being a good TA, it is about being a good professional. Because sometime you will be a team leader, sometime you will be a manager. So all these things are extremely important to be taken care of at those times also. Okay, ask student questions, create quizzes, immediate quizzes, so that they have something to respond to. Keep a conversation alive. Okay. I'm skipping these pop-up questions because we're already doing more than what I had intended to do, because I wanted you to come prepared here. So labs. See, in software labs, all of you know there's a very strong opportunity to plagiarize. So you have to be extremely careful. One thing that should settle first for yourself is that when you copy a code or build a code from ChatGPT or other sources, you're doing disservice to yourself, because you're not applying your brain to work out the logic. See, syntax is one thing. Syntax should also be, you should be good about the syntax also. But syntax is one thing. But if you do not even apply your brain on the algorithmic part of stuff, on how something should be done, why something should be done in a particular way, then I'm telling you, you are in for a shock as soon as you join the industry. There was a study done with some Harvard students, and I've been citing this. So this was released very recently, and I've been citing this often. And there was one control group which was asked to use AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever, profusely. जो मर्जी करना है करो, go ahead, खुला, okay? And do their assignments, do their projects. And there was another group which was asked to use them sparingly. Not use them practically, but yeah, if you really need to use them sparingly. So what happened? Those who were using ChatGPT, they, in that same duration of those 4 months, did more number of projects. It's very understandable now, because GPT gives you all the answers, all the codes which work. So you can do more. So they did more number of projects in those 4 months. But the other group, they did fewer projects. Obviously, आपके resume में ज़्यादा projects दिख रहे हैं, तो it's easy to land into an interview. So the first group got into many interviews, and the second group had to struggle to even get an interview call. But finally, Harvard है, सबको job मिल गया. Now, fast forward 3 months later. Typically, companies have a 3-month to 6-month probation period. A probation period is kept so that if they have made a hiring mistake, they can correct it. Hmm? So fast forward it by a few months, and most of these 80% of the students who had profusely used ChatGPT, etc., were not confirmed in their jobs. They were thrown out. Why? Because now, when the same situation arose in the office and you were expected to respond, ChatGPT is not available. There are constraints in an office space. There are confidential information which you cannot put on ChatGPT, which you cannot put on such LLMs, and you should know the answer. You were hired because you told that you've done 20 projects. You should know what those 20 projects were about and be able to solve problems now. But you've not done those 20 projects yourself. So 80% of those people were not even confirmed. What happened to the other cohort? Almost all of them were confirmed before the due date because they've done the hard work. And the difference was so stark that they felt, यार ये तो अच्छा लड़का है, कम प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हैं बट जानता है क्या करना है, जल्दी से कंफर्म करो, कंफर्म नहीं करा तो कहीं और ना चला जाए. So there is this VLSI company. I'm from VLSI domain. I already told you that. There is this VLSI company that hires interns. And it hires interns and continues to rehire them until the intern comes and tells that, see, I've got a job offer from the competitor. The next day, there's a job offer from this company also in their hands. So there are companies like that. And now, in such a scenario, these companies are worried that, yaar, before they go out and look for a job elsewhere because they are still on an internship or still under probation, let me confirm them. So one thing that changes as soon as you confirm an employee is that the notice period to get released increases from 7 days to 1 month. So the barrier is raised. Now the person doesn't think of switching jobs. So they want to confirm such people fast. So what I mean to tell you is that use of these AI tools can lead to mental atrophy, wasting away of your mental muscle. And that can be detrimental to your success. And as detrimental it can be to your success, it can be detrimental to your students' success also. So do not normalize cheating. Do not normalize plagiarism. ये तो सब करते हैं. Even if many are doing it, they are doing it wrong. You will do them service if you flag it. Is that okay? So please help them in their careers by pointing out that this is not right. Okay? Now the hardware labs are a little different. When you are conducting hardware labs, it is extremely important that you respect the instruments that are there. See, software labs, kuch cheez kharab hui, you can just restart your PC and you can do something. Hardware labs, the equipment is extremely expensive. And one thing goes wrong, then that experiment no one else can do. That is why the lab assistants will probably not let the students do everything that they should be doing, because it has a huge impact on the learning outcomes for other students in the class. So the first and the foremost thing that you have to teach students when they are entering into a hardware lab is that they have to handle the costly, expensive instruments carefully, extremely carefully. Now, there are these tinkering labs that we have in the institute. Over there, you can burn some PCBs, you can burn some small stuff. But the big expensive instruments that you have in your labs, they have to be handled carefully. You should always do the experiments on the lab yourself before the lab ends. Before the lab starts, sorry. So that you know that this works. Then these instruments work, these components which you are giving to the students work, and everything is in place. Okay? This is very important that Whenever you take up some responsibility or activity in your uh, TA responsibility, TA duty, you should check what is the purpose of this quiz? What is the purpose of this assignment? What is the purpose of this lab? What is the purpose of this experiment? Because then you will ensure that when you are helping students, you still ensure that that purpose is met. For example, in my courses, there's a weekly quiz. It's a 10-question quiz, fewer than 10 questions many times. Uh, 3 hours for those 10 questions. And those questions are all based on what we did in the class. Now, what is the purpose of this quiz? If you do not know, you will make this quiz bad. The only purpose of this quiz is to reinforce the concepts that were taught in the class. The only purpose is to encourage the students to revise what they did in the week. Now, if you ask super complex questions over here, it doesn't solve the problem. If you ask information related questions over here, it doesn't meet the objective. So how you design different components, whether it is a lab, a tutorial, a quiz, assignment, you should know why you are doing, what is expected of the students. Why is this component there in the course plan in the first place? If you understand that, you will do the job well. Otherwise, you will have to rework. Okay, as a TA, because the instructor will say, "Nee, this doesn't solve the purpose that I want it to be solved." So get that clarity before you enter into those zones. Okay, plagiarism, we've already talked about. All of this is plagiarism. Okay, when someone, so in common language, plagiarism is referred to as cheating. Cheating is plagiarism. But those of you who are intending to write papers, do research, when you copy paste anything from any other person's text or publication without giving it to the due credit, that is plagiarism. Now, in a classroom, if in an exam, if you're copying from some student and not telling that I've copied from this person, that is plagiarism. That is why that cheating is also referred to as plagiarism. And there is a zero tolerance policy for plagiarism. If in your publication, it is found that you've plagiarized, you might be blacklisted from that journal or conference altogether for life. The consequences in the real world for plagiarism are very, very severe. That is the reason why, and this is not just about publications, it's about, imagine you say something to your manager that I have done this, but in fact, that work was done by someone else. That's plagiarism. And if the manager does get to know about this, the consequences can be severe. You can really be thrown out of the organization. So, just thrown out of the organization नहीं होता है, पता है? आप जब एक जॉब छोड़ के दूसरी जॉब ज्वाइन करते हो, तो आपको पुरानी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से रिलीविंग सर्टिफिकेट लेना होता है. Many of you may not know this, but I'm telling you that when you change jobs, you take a relieving certificate from the previous organization. In that relieving certificate, it is obligatory for the employer to also say that how was your conduct in the organization. Typically, there is a standard statement. The conduct was professional and respectful and this. But in events of plagiarism or misconduct, this statement is removed. You will not notice it. They will simply write, we are relieving this person. He's no longer our employee. But that statement is not there. So the reputation reaches your next employer also. So be careful about it. Plagiarism, neither you should do nor you should allow. See, The consequence of someone getting a 0 in a particular assignment is far smaller consequence than they being fired from their job because they did not realize it's a no thing. Are you with me? So when you highlight a case of plagiarism, you are being their friend, a well-wisher. Please do not do them disservice by ignoring cases of plagiarism. And as I already told you, that if you catch any event of plagiarism, you are not expected to handle the situation yourself. All that we expect you to do is to inform the instructor with the relevant evidence that you found. Is that clear? We do not want you to carry the burden or be a point of bullying for the students there. Are you with me? So you have to be alert about plagiarism, but you don't need to solve that thing yourself. We will take that burden on you, on ourselves, okay? So this is very generic stuff. We're kind of closing this session here now, where I've already talked about having a regular interaction with the instructor, which is very important. I reiterate that you are extensions of the instructor in the class, and you should relay the feedback as you get it. Are you with me? Then ensure that you are approachable to the students. This would mean that, okay, so this is one very common query that students or TAs confuse. So many TAs would ask me, sir, when you say approachable, should I be available 24/7? How many of you think an approachable TA is available all the time? Good. So, no. When I say approachable, it doesn't mean that you are available 24/7. That is not how it works. Approachable means that there are clearly defined times when you are definitely available. Approachable means that they should not hesitate to reach out to you. In fact, they should want to reach out to you because you are able to help them clarify their doubts without looking down upon them. Are you with me? So approachability does not mean 24/7 availability. You are not doing that. I'm very clear that your workload for a TA responsibility is 10 hours per week. And that 10 hours is not 24/7, spread 15 minutes, 24/7 everywhere. No. There are boundaries that you have to set, that this is where I am available. There are these office hours. And yes, if you have queries, write to me. We can organize extra office hours also, because there are so many queries these days. There can be a very complex topic or a very complex assignment that is being assigned. And you may need extra office hours at times, but have clear boundaries. Okay? Be respectful in your language. Encourage them to ask questions. All that makes you approachable. This is some example of the subjects lines that I was talking about. That just DSA assignment 1 is not a good subject to keep. Assignment 1 released, due on this particular date. That already sets the pace and an urgency to the assignment. Students already know what we are talking about. Okay? So be aware that students evaluate TAs. The instructors also evaluate TAs. You are evaluating their question papers. So their answer script. So they also get an opportunity to rate you. Okay? Be aware of this. And that doesn't mean कि basically, क्योंकि वो भी आपको rate करने वाले हैं, आपको goody goody और sweet sweet बनना है. That's not the goal. We want you to be an effective TA. So when you are approachable, that is good enough. When you are knowledgeable, that is good enough. When you are willingly trying to help them, that is good. You do not have to be super sweet so that they rate you well. That's not needed. Are you with me? Because if you attempt to get a good rating there, just for the rating part of it, you might spoil your grades in other courses. You do it, okay, great. But my worry is you will end up spoiling your other courses. So set those boundaries. Within those boundaries, give your 100%. Put your best foot forward. Okay? And a professional TA, a helpful TA, an approachable TA is anyways rated better. जो ये TAs अच्छे अच्छे मार्क्स दे देते हैं, जस्ट रिफ्लेक्ट फाइनली जब आप उनको रेटिंग देते हो तो आप इतनी अच्छी रेटिंग शायद नहीं देते. So we've talked about a wide range of topics. Are there any questions? So I've been speaking a lot of the time. You guys have also contributed a little here and there. But are there questions that you have? Yes.
How do we balance one-to-one questions in office hours while maintaining a public platform?
That's a very, very good question. His question is that in office hours, students will approach us in a one-to-one setting. And we are expected to respond to those students there. This is not the public setting. Not everyone is in the session there. Yes. So that is where, see, if it is one-off student asking one kind of questions, you handle those questions there itself. That's okay. Okay. Obviously, not everyone will have the same question. So they will ask different questions. However, we already discussed this part that if there are many people asking the same kind of question, then there is something wrong. Something wrong in the way the topic was handled in the class by the instructor. So you inform the instructor. If it is something very, very, suppose कल एग्जाम है और आज किसी ने आके एग्जैक्टली एग्जाम वाला आपसे सवाल पूछ लिया, ऐसा हो सकता है. Now they do not know. Now they do not know, but you know that you have not triggered the question. Okay. So what you can do is you can, in such a situation, you can still give them pointers on how to solve that question without letting them know कि कल एग्जाम में ये आ रहा है. Is that okay? Because if you do reveal that, अरे यार तूने तो कल के एग्जाम का क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया, पूरी क्लास को पता लग गया. Treat it like any other question. And you ensure that you don't prompt that question to them. Student came up with a question naturally, it's fine. Handle it like any other question. Just as if you don't even know this question is coming in the exam tomorrow. How you would handle it? Handle it like that. Does that answer? I've answered a little more than what you asked, but any other question? Situations you might have faced already?
That's how many times after final grading start with mail requesting regrading or have some details. What would be a good way to get back which doubts and requests?
So he's asking that after you have checked the answer sheet, so I'm not assuming A, B, C, D wala grading, answer sheets. You know? After you have checked the answer sheets of, let's say, the mid-sem exam or a quiz or something, students want to approach you and say, please reevaluate this question, please reevaluate that question. How do we avoid this? The only way to avoid this is having a good rubric and sharing the rubric as even before you share the answers or the marks to them. So even after that, if they come and ask, you say, just let's look at the rubric. What does the rubric say? There are these 5 keywords that I mentioned. Had you used any one of those keywords or I wanted all the 5 to be there, you've asked only 4, so आधा number कटेगा. whatever. So if you have been consistent, आप एक दो को जवाब दोगे, वो बाकियों को बता देंगे कि नहीं नहीं वो हिल नहीं रहे. So that then, if the rubric is clear, the reputation travels fast. That also. The student community, all of you are a very close knit network. So it will travel. Don't worry.
So there's a conflict between how BSTs approach the topic and how an instructor has taught the topic in the class. How do we accommodate both of them together? Should we accommodate them in the rubrics? Because there might be some conflicting opinions in their mind that this was taught like this and you're like this.
So thank you for this question. Uh, this is not just for this time. I would say this can happen so many times in your career. Okay, where your manager has asked you to do something in a particular way, but you know a different way which you believe is better. Okay, what do you do? So ideally, in such a setting, when the rubric is being created, you should discuss with the instructor then itself. Okay, that there is this alternate way also. Should we put that there? Or should we clearly put in the question paper that this is the way it has to be used? How do we do it? So first thing is clarify. Because suppose aapka manager, the manager assigns some work to you and there are multiple ways to do that work. You can choose whichever way. The manager may say, yes, you are empowered to do that. Great. But that means is I'm interested in the result. If the result is there, I'm not interested in how you approached it. But in this kind of a setting where students may not, the question could be difficult and the answer may not be very obvious. Student has done half the question and the answer is not there yet. You still want to give some marks, then you can only give marks to what is given in the rubric. So either you list down all the alternatives in the rubric, or you clarify in the question itself that you have to solve this by this particular method, or uh, or you do a digital marking where if the answer is there, 1, otherwise 0. I would dissuade you from the digital marking because not the best way to handle things, but sometimes that is what TAs do. Okay, but whatever you do, ensure that it is not just you who is answering or checking question number 4 who does that. Other TAs who are also checking question number 4 also do exactly the same way. Okay. Okay, very good. So she's asking, what if a student wants to use the office hours to seek guidance about topics which are not relevant to the course? All right. So see if now this is a interesting question and this does happen. Okay. So first thing that you need to check is, are there others waiting? If there are, you gently tell them, I appreciate your question and I would be happy to answer it, but there are other people waiting in the queue.
Are we obliged to answer those questions?
So it entirely depends on how comfortable you are answering those questions. Okay. So as a professor, students approach me for a wide range of questions. Even during my office hours, so aenge. So they're doing 2 courses with me. They will say, sir, CIIPS ka question hai. Now, if I know that there are other students waiting, I would simply say, this is MDT office hours. Can you take this up in the CIIPS office hours? Or can you wait until I've handled other people's questions and then I can answer you? Now, if on the other hand, the question is very private and personal and you do not want to answer it, for example, कि आपने इसमें कैसा करा था, and you don't want to answer it, you can simply say that, I don't want to answer that question. I'm not obliged to answer that question. So being a TA doesn't mean that your life is open in front of them. Okay. If they are respectfully asking your guidance on something and you feel that, okay, there is this genuineness and if you can share something with them, do that. But if it is too personal, too private, and you're not comfortable, you're not obliged to answer. Okay. In my experience, such questions rarely come. And if there is something which is, so students many times do ask something which is close and personal and private. Uh, how I handle it is that either I will generalize the situation and say, okay, forget about me. How would you do it? Okay. Or I would say that, okay, let us forget about me, but let us take the situation in its entirety and then let us look who is the person standing there. So it just is like that. So again, this is not just about now. Your employees or your team members can ask you something very tricky anytime. So you have to learn how to handle such situation. You can say a clear no, a gentle but clear no. Or you may feel comfortable. If you're comfortable, you can share more information. You may generalize it so that the private information doesn't go out. That's entirely up to you. Okay? Yeah.
So there is a situation I want to discuss.
Mhm.
A particular where the number of students are allocated are quite low and a number of TAs were allotted. Later, some of them withdraw from and we are lagging in the number of TAs, right? So we wrote the admin department for the TAs and they told us that they don't have TA and they wanted us get the TA by ourselves and as a paid team. So is it our plan or it's their responsibility?
Uh, Very good question. So his question is that there are many students in the class. We wanted more TAs. More TAs were allocated, but some of them withdrew. And now the burden of having more TAs is on us. So, see, ensuring good learning outcomes is a shared responsibility of the academic office, the instructor, and the TA community. It's a shared responsibility. So, आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि ये उन्हीं की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, ये भी नहीं कह सकते कि ये खाली हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. We have to find the best way out. In some cases, if the count of TAs is actually very less, then you have to work with the instructor to see that the assessments and other stuff is done in such a way that the limited TAs can also handle that. So the course may need to be restructured without compromising the learning outcomes. You can change the format of the quizzes. So you have to creatively find a solution to that. If you're not able to find TAs, this is what you have to do. Is that helpful? Okay, great. Anything else? So we need to take the outgoing attendance also. That's fine. There was a question. So Sanjana assures me that as of now, there is no course, at least not in this semester, where there are fewer TAs than were intended to be. He might be talking about a previous semester. That's okay. But whenever this situation can arise, and whenever this happens, you have to work with the instructor to redefine the evaluations, the curriculum and stuff so that it doesn't work like that. Okay? So thank you guys. Before you leave, please mark your attendance again. बाहर जाके कर लेंगे. Because some of them stayed back just for the attendance part of it. So let them have the pleasure of marking their attendance again. Okay? Thank you guys, all the best. And if you have any challenges in playing your role as a TA, do not hesitate to reach out to me anytime. All the best.
Sir, I have a PM meeting with instructor attendant. लग जाएगा मुझे लगता है.
आप संजना को अपना नाम बता दें. She will mark your attendance.